This is bad lighting on me. I don't know what is, but I don't look good.
It's like cloudy peach yellow.
I think it's these backlights. I think I'm gonna try it without these.
Ooh.
In a world of divisiveness, we bring you diversity. In a world of hate, we bring you love. In a world of fear, we inspire you to live. And now, laughing, loving, and alive with your hosts Rain Thomas, Elmer J. Howard, and Dr. Kevin.
Hello, I am Evan Almighty.
Oh, okay.
And who does that make you this week, Miss Rain?
You know what? I think I'm going to be Ricky Ricardo.
Weren't you that last week?
I'm probably that every other week in my personal life.
Oh, okay. Well, who do I'm going to be Fred Mertz.
I love it.
The name sounds familiar, but I can't conjure up who that is.
Fred and
Fred and
Ethel,
you don't even know who that is.
Yeah, no. Fred Mertz was Vivian Vance's husband on the original I Love Lucy show. And that was his character's name, Fred and Ethel Mertz. And of course, in the later Lucy shows, she got called Viv because her real name is Vivian Vance. So that's why I stumbled for a second. But yeah, it was Fred and Ethel Mertz, and it was played by an actor named William Frawley. And he was an old vaudevillian originally, song and dance man. And he was like 25, 30 years older than Vivian Vance was in that series.
Was he really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Vivian Vance was I'm pretty sure. I think it was at least 20 years. But yes. So, Ricky.
He was shrewd. He hated to spend $1. He wouldn't fix anything. He was always. I love that show. That was really good humor back in the day. I mean, Lucy obviously was a pioneer, but when you think about it, you couldn't put your beds together. You couldn't sleep together in those shows. Remember when she was pregnant?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I remember when she was pregnant. I remember. I mean, one of my favorite episodes was, which is not one that's hailed a lot, but I always enjoyed it when she ended up telling Ricky she was pregnant at the club because she kept on not telling him that she was pregnant. And she was trying to find a way, and he was like, busy and brushing her off. And so she slid in, and he got this announcement that said, so we've got a couple here tonight, and she's having her first baby, and I've been asked to sing a song, and so he's singing this song. You're having my baby, not you're having my baby, but there was I can't remember the song now. It will come back to me probably. And he's going around the audience asking, "Is it you? Is it you? Is it you?" to all the couples at the Copacabana. And finally sees Lucy at the table, and he's like, "Oh, hi, Lucy." And then she kind of looks and he goes, "Is it you?" And she went, "Yes." Oh, it was a fabulous episode.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, yeah. No, it's worth watching.
I'm going to have to go back and pull it. That doesn't sound familiar. I remember just seeing her pregnant, like really pregnant.
Yep. So, yep. So anyways, and I still think that for percentage of population wise, I think that her episode of actually having the baby was the most watched one in history.
Because you didn't see that on television back then. That was not a thing.
No, there was no store. They didn't look under a rock. I mean, like, where did that baby come from?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one of the episodes where they started, when her stomach started growing, they only showed her from like the breasts up.
Yep.
because they said, you weren't supposed to show a pregnant belly on television. Like, wow, that wasn't that long ago.
No. There's a lot of things that really were not that long ago that are horrifying of how time has been moving so fast with so much crushed into it.
Mhm.
You look at the 20th century and it was the fastest moving century in recorded history for like new
Mhm.
inventions and interconnectedness. And now we look at the first 2 decades of the 20 of this century, the 21st century, and we look at it and we're well on pace to way past that, and that with pros and cons. But yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I am left out every day. Like, just when I think I'm almost catching up, something comes out and all of a sudden I'm still 5, 10 years behind. And I know that's technology, and there's so many different social media platforms that, people are like, oh, nobody goes to Facebook anymore. I'm like, okay, so where does everybody go? Like, I don't even know what's current anymore.
Well, so here's one of the things I want you to think about, Rain, is we the young people are getting so inundated with keeping up on the new stuff that they are missing a ton of fundamental blocks that people in our generation and like the generation before us, which was Elmer's generation,
I.e., Fred Mertz.
no, but is that they're missing context and they're missing building blocks of things that put holes in their critical thinking skills. And working with these kids, when I do, I have to take a deep breath and not get frustrated, because there were many things that have gotten run over that we used to learn. And you know what? I'm still not a big fan of raising your child on an iPad or an iPhone at such a young age and making them be the primary educator, babysitter. You're missing things, and you see it with the anxiety level in this generation. And part of that anxiety is because they don't have basic building blocks for adulting and getting through in this world. They're missing. And then they're trying to like fill them in. And then, oh, good Lord, they go and Google it and they get 5,000 different opinions on the way that it should go. And that, and so we have created this dilemma by the abstaining of hands-on full-time adult parenting with children. And we've created a world where for a lot of families to just keep food on the table and a roof over their head, that's not even possible. And yet we look like during the pandemic, the top 2% all created billions and billions of dollars of more wealth for a handful of individuals, where the majority of the people got further behind and poorer and stressed out more. And, these are the conditions that cause revolutions. You have a version of an aristocracy in this country today. It's a kind of aristocracy. And so in that aristocracy, if you are lucky and you get the nod from the right person, you may have voice or not.
So you and I obviously are old-fashioned. Elmer,
we're old.
Yeah, well, and that too. Elmer, what do you feel about everything that's happened in the last 20 years? Because you're part of it.
Here's one of the problem makers. Yeah.
I'm not excited about the last few years of this country. And just humanity in general. I just feel like, being the 21st century, it's not what I think where humans should be overall as a, obviously there's people who are enlightened and people who are trying to create equality and push out love instead of hate or war and such. But there's a lot more than on the other side than I would like to see. And I just feel like, I think with the younger generation, even the generation after me, they are just so disenfranchised with, you watch somebody, not to get political, but, recent president who violated so many laws and did so much, illegal stuff that you and I would have been slapped in the cuffs faster than, you could have blinked your eye to just walk away and not have any repercussions. And it's like, so why should we care? Why should we fight to stop these people when then they're not held accountable? They can just turn around and do it again.
Yeah.
Like Putin, look what's going on in Russia.
Yeah, that's a mess for sure. Oh my goodness.
So, but anyways, I don't want to mire us down too much into a long conversation.
I just like to ask people from different generations, just like the Ellen generational show, when you put 3 women in a room and there's 15 to 20 years between each, and all of a sudden they think, oh, we've always had the right to advocate for ourselves at the doctor. No, that wasn't a thing not very long ago. I mean, even in my 20s, you were supposed to go to the doctor, keep your mouth shut. And if you didn't like what he said, that was really too bad. Oh, thank you.
Yes, Christine, I realized that after I loaded the show that I put the wrong year in.
It's okay. I'm even more left behind. I might be caught up now if you put 2021 in there. I'm actually good. So yeah, I'm always curious because, I talked to a young lady who was 12 and she says, oh my goodness, she said, I feel like I'm 35. How does a 12-year know what it would feel like to be 35? Because she's like, I always have my teachers text me to remind me about my homework at night. My parents text me about my homework, or friends are nonstop. Nobody unplugs. So we're not getting enough sleep. She said, does she think she's sleep deprived? How is that as a kid? Do you even know what that means? I mean, we were made to go to bed back in the day. You were going to bed, sleepy or not. But now it's just on. And they're talking about, here, all the kids that come to class, and before class starts, they're like out cold on their desk because they've been working the whole time at home, and they're taking care of their siblings, and they're taking care of the household, and they're cooking. So they feel my age, and I feel left out.
So, one of the things I want to comment, and then I want to bring in tonight's guest, because this definitely is spiraled into something that could be a whole show on of its own.
Right.
And we may want to do one.
But you said something, in your generational show. And just so you know, Elmer, if we're willing to dress up in drag, then she's willing to pitch us to Ellen. No. Is that today, you said that women today can advocate with their doctor. Well, they can if their doctor if they aren't on some kind of socially subsidized insurance, then them advocating with their doctor can completely screw up everything. The doctor is this demigod between them, and they're getting their benefits and their stuff. And so there are still a ton of women and men that cannot advocate with their doctor unless they are in a good enough job or in a good enough place financially where they can actually either not need insurance or have really good insurance, where the insurance company is going to back them up if they challenge their doctor. But, then on the other side, the insurance companies, Well,
That's a whole different beast.
so speaking of different beast, I don't know
Yes.
if that was a good segue, but it.
It's a good segue. This person is a beast. Okay, first of all, biologist,
Bobbie, I didn't mean it.
It's
chemist.
okay.
He meant it, Bobbie. Trust me. Chemist, hair guru. I told him he asked if you had ever done my hair. Obviously, I'm not high enough in the royalty chain to have Bobbie do my hair. So she gives me to all the people under her. Like I can't get an appointment. It's been 10 years and I still not have been able to score an appointment with Bobbie. That's okay. I'm just saying. Takes me like 4 months to get an appointment. But I was at a First Friday here in Vegas. They're down in the Arts District. And I had been driving 5 hours one way every 60 days to Arizona to get my hair done. I leave at 3 a.m., get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, get my hair done at 9, finish at 1 or 2, and then drive back home. And so I went to this First Friday, which I had never been to. And everybody that was out there had their hair done in all these locks and these fun colors and these stopped. And I stopped them and said, okay, who's doing your hair? They're like, oh, Bobbie. I'm like, Bobbie who? Like, where is Bobbie? And they're like, over there, because no one has an address, right? No, they're just like over there. So after the 6th or 7th person, I was actually standing in front of Raw Remedies salon. And this young lady was walking, her hair was straight, and the ends were like these gradient shades of bright green. I said, okay, who does your hair? Is it Bobbie? And she's like, yes. I said, who is Bobbie and where do I find this person? And I turn around and Bobbie's standing right there. I said, I need you to do my hair like tonight. And she goes, oh, no, you have to make an appointment. No, I don't want to make an appointment. I need my hair done like right now at this First Friday. And needless to say, my hair has never been done by Bobbie, but it's okay because
Oh man.
when you go to the salon, it's always an incredible experience. The precision, just she takes it very seriously, which she should. It's people's hair. I didn't know that people called her magic hands. I learned that a few years back because every hair that she touches grows. But then I found out biologist and a chemist, and creating these elixirs and all these missions and doing fundraising and fundraisers and helping out communities. This wasn't just a hair thing because this salon isn't like a salon. It's a community of different cottages that are in this salon that are a safe haven. So with all that being said, and with my hair not up to par because, well, I just said, let's welcome Bobbie Mullins.
So, Bobbie, my
Thank
first question to you right out the gate is, was Rain sufficiently manipulative and mother perfection guilt rendering enough that at some point she may sit in your chair, or are you just going to blow that all off?
Well, after today, we definitely will make that happen. I already know. And I'll tell you, I would like to do everyone's hair. I'm sure you can imagine. I've been there for 12 years, and my mother is still trying to get an appointment as well. So don't feel bad, Rain. She's not been able to get in with me in a few years too.
But she has a bag, right?
I'm sorry.
She has a bag though, right?
She does. Yeah.
I couldn't even get it. She wouldn't even sell me the last bag with his face on it. So I have no pull in this.
Okay, so we're gonna move the show from Rain's list of complaints to actually see if we can find out something about Bobbie, because right now we know all about Rain's experience of Bobbie, but you're on timeout, Rain, until I can actually ask this woman a real question.
Okay.
Before you put her on timeout, though, I want you to understand this. That bag is going to be exclusive, right? And I told you, when you come back, it's yours. I hold on to things, and I'm a terrible salesperson. Everything that I get to sell, I want to keep for myself. So people are like, yeah, that's cool. Oh no, that's mine. I don't want to say. So and that's because at one point I was a bit of a hoarder. I would collect things and I would just keep them there for keepsake. Never utilize them because I always knew that it would be worth something later. So moving forward, that bag is yours. Ask me what she like.
I love her. See, now,
Yeah.
Dr. Kimmy, you can ask her real questions.
Miss Bobbie. So when I looked at the write-up for this show, because the way that we this show tends to roll, though every show is different, is Rain gives the guest the third degree before they get on air, but tells me nothing. I give the third degree to the guest on air, and Elmer occasionally drops in to make sure that we all know that it's not a dummy there running the tech, and that he actually is he does have a voice, and occasionally a question. So this is how it rolls. So I'm sure she warned you, I'm going to be poking. So when I read your read up, I just need to clarify a sentence. She said, it says in what you gave us, she realized that too many of the products designed for natural hair were being made by people who didn't have natural hair. What is natural hair versus unnatural hair?
Sure. So natural hair would be hair that's not processed with whether it be color or heat.
Okay.
So
virgin hair. I mean, that's what okay.
Virgin hair. Yep.
So when you stepped into this, most of these, so all of the people that you discovered that were developing products were people, I look at it as, hated their own natural hair because they all had to change it in some way to make it other than what they were given.
And believe it or not, that's what cosmetology is. And so most people who develop product lines, they come from the cosmetology industry. Of course, it's an industry that is a moneymaker. So people are wanting to find out, what people want. And of course, as you all were speaking before, what people want now are things that are not necessarily good for them, things that don't really have quality, and that also comes in forms of products. So the cosmetology industry, it is an industry that alters the hair. That's the whole purpose of cosmetology, is to be able to break down the bonds of the hair by using chemicals, whether it be physical, heat, or any type of change that alters the natural state of the hair. At one point, I was totally against cosmetology schools or industry because there was not a place where, outside of the medical industry, where people can go and seek services after the hair was damaged. There's nowhere in cosmetology, because I'm also a cosmetologist. I actually started this business as a naturalist before we actually went to cosmetology school, myself and my team. It was actually against the law to provide this service because of the state stipulations, whereas in order for you to physically touch someone, even if it's a shampoo, you have to have this cosmetology license. And so again, the industry I was totally against because it does alter the natural state by products they were pushing, like color products, products to redefine curls or to actually relax the hair and to straighten the hair. And so in certain communities, mostly poor communities, they can't afford to buy luxury products that will complement the hair's health, rather than, it's a codependency on some of these products. People get addicted to them. They don't know that the hair is drying out based on the climate that, people are in. We live in Las Vegas, so we have high, our elements up to 130 degrees. People don't realize what the damage is doing to their hair. And so that you're correct when you say about, our industry or really just defining a place that you can go to be able to heal the damage that's been done. And that's why I'm a hot commodity in Las Vegas, because that's my entire purpose, is for healing.
Which is great. I mean, I applaud that. I'm curious, as in this moment, do you think that this industry is underregulated or overregulated?
I think it's on both ends. It's a double-edged sword. Where there's overregulation, it only benefits those people who are making money. Where there's, under regulation, of course you need sanitation. There needs to be some continuing education in regards to, like, again, once the damage is done. The problem is that there over regulations in regards to what types of products are being used. That means that you can only use products that are approved, quote unquote, by either the FDA or some of these the state regulations requires certain products to be used. That's over regulations because, back in our day, and I'm 42, so I might be in that mid range, but most of our products came from home. We use natural preservatives, we used herbs, we used plants, and I'm trying to bring back that thing that actually worked. So the more and more you add chemicals in, of course, you're going to have regulations, but who does it hurt? It hurts those people who can't necessarily make a living on ingredients or protecting their ingredients that actually work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're in an industry that creates its own need, and I look at it as one that is both a victim of and a victimizer of self-worth, self-value, and self-esteem. And that a lot of people, it used to be more women than men, but now I think men are pretty much catching up, somehow are made to feel like they cannot be natural beauties. And everything that you see as a natural beauty has either been so photoshopped or so something that people don't have any concept or idea of what natural beauty looks like.
Yes.
So my question to you is, how do you naturally green tint somebody's hair in all sorts of shades?
Well, you can use chlorophyll. You can use things that stain the hair. There are different herbs that you can use to stain the hair. Now, I wouldn't necessarily advocate for that. I'm more so into mental health aspects. So my thing is the question, why would you want 6 different shades of green? And do you know the consequences of staining the hair? Because even if you use a natural product to stain the hair, are you okay with living with this color? Because in order to remove the color, as we know with primary colors, you have to strip the hair. So okay, I'm sorry.
No, finish. I'm sorry. I'm always ready with the next one, but I want you to finish your thought process.
It's okay. Yep. So me personally, I would dig in. I would probe them on why they would want these several shades of green. Now, if it's St. Patty's, if they're EDM raving, that makes sense. But for the average person walking around, I would never advocate for any shades of color that aren't natural.
So I've got to ask you this question, which is, is people that do like the natural henna, is that good? Is that bad? Is that overused, underused? Where does that fall? Because that's the one that I think of. And, I'm of a generation older than you, but that's the one that I think of that was supposed to be kind of you're not doing heavy duty chemical dye stuff, but you could do a henna rinse and it kind of rinses out on its own. And I remember being told years ago, and it's good for your hair. Now, whether that was just a big sales lie or not, I don't know, but that's what pops in my head. Was I lying?
You were lied to, like like in every marketing scheme. So henna is a safer way to color the hair. Unfortunately, we have different pigments of the hair, so henna doesn't work for everyone. Another thing about henna is that it's very drying to the hair. So anything that you leave on your hair follicle, it has to be able to receive it. Some people hair is porous, the ability to receive moisture or product. And what happens is that if with henna, it can stay on top of the hair follicle, and then at that point, it can also clog the pore. So I wouldn't advocate for changing. I think it's still a mental health thing, especially in America's industry. We could save a whole lot of money if we actually focused on who we were and where we were going physically, spiritually, and mentally in our natural direction. And I mean, now the problem that I have even outside of henna is when people start to gray early, or they start to see the silver. I love it. I love that. And it goes to, again, the conversation that we're having in regards to age gap. That's earned. Yeah, but it's also earned though. So putting henna on the hair, staining the hair, you still have to at some point remove it, or you have to cut it off, because it's almost like wearing a hat, as I have on every day. We see some of the basketball players whose hair is thinning. So at some point they have to wear a hat. But if you don't have to wear a hat, why are you wearing a hat every day? So that the sun is not able to penetrate. You're not able to receive any type of nourishment from the elements. And so you're just killing off your hair follicles. Well, that's what happens when you put anything onto the hair that's not natural. And so it just kills it.
So fallacy again, my hair is natural now. I mean, there's nothing in my hair, and I try to wash it with a good, what I'm told is a good organic shampoo. Who knows? I'm not a chemist, I'm not a biologist. Thing I know about biology could be written in a book, but it would be X-rated. But
that's our after hours show.
I'm just warming up. Go ahead.
LLA after dark. But seriously, but for years, because my best friend was a hairdresser for years, and as he was learning cosmetology in high school, he actually got his cosmetology license, hairdresser's license, before his diploma, his high school diploma. I was his test dummy. He frosted it and sanded it and reverse frosted it, and it's been purple, and it's been permed, and it's been everything that and under the sun. And I did that for years, off and on, like with that. I share that because back then, and I don't know if still now, there was this thought, well, you do something to the hair, but if you shave it all off, then, the damage gone. But an older and hopefully wiser, or at least I'm wiser in some parts of my body, is
again after dark.
Yes, the part I sit on is the wisest, definitely. There's the day that I woke up and realized, but wait a second, you're putting chemicals that are sitting on my head against my scalp, and they're going in here. And do you think that things like dementia, Alzheimer's, and certain mental health issues can be either exacerbated or perhaps even caused through chemicalization of the scalp? Address that.
Yes, I definitely know that for a fact. Even in my own community, and when I say my own community, these are people who typically only wear natural hair. So locks is a form of natural hair. And so I speak for the lock community when I say my community. What I've realized, and I've had a little bit insight of dissecting a cadaver, when you take and open up the layers of the scalp, you can see where the chemicals have sunken down into the layers of the scalp, and they have nowhere to sit. So it's almost like the lungs. If you're receiving all of these chemicals, where are they going? And so if you forms of alopecia, for instance, there's forms of alopecia, even at some points, is hereditary. And I think that, you know, it can cause those mental health and also physical traits in our offsprings.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's this whole concept which you may be familiar with. I work with it in my practice. One of the things I do in my practice is I'm a medical intuitive, and I've been doing that for decades. And so, I talk to the body, and the body talks back to me, and blah blah. So, is that whole concept of damaging at a DNA level, which then gets passed on if it happens before we have children. And then that altered DNA will continue to get passed on that. And, I look at that the obsession with hair to me started in the 50s, where we got into the real, like, more of the advanced dyeing and coloring, and it was getting made more available to the average person, and so we now have generations of women, because the women in the 50s that were starting to do this, that it was I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen before then, but I think it hit a crucial turning point and got geared up. I don't know if
Well, during the movement.
What?
I was going to say, during women liberation movements, you start to see those types of changes in women coming into the work field, in the workforce, women being more exposed, to different types of crowds. You've seen that more, but it always starts with the male, even from, wearing the wigs, wearing the high heel shoes. They test the industry with the men first, and then the women come after. But
interesting, because how were they testing men on things like perms? And I mean, well, yeah, until the 1800s, men were wearing the men were more dressed up as peacocks than the women were.
Yes.
It was kind of like that. The male will be bright because you try to protect the little woman and keep her semi-plain and protected at home, type of crap mentality. Sorry.
It's okay, but that's real. Okay. With the high heel shoes, men, they wanted to appear to be, more successful by height. So high heel shoes were designed. The wigs, for instance, the intricate wigs that men would wear in the 1800s. These things, like I said, I started seeing women really care more about. First of all, let's back up. In the 50s and the 60s, the salons were really a meeting place for women. Even if they weren't getting their hair done, that's where the conversations happened. That's where the planning happened. So I think the pressure started to become based on the industry of making money, because the JCPenney ads, though, whatever you seen in the marketing ads, then women wanted. And so they already knew what products will work, because it was successful with men.
Yeah. Well, I kind of look at this and I'm always open for you to correct a perception of mine, because obviously you're our expert, and that's why we have you here. Is, even that of the drying, like the blow dryers and sitting there. I mean, I can't imagine that was ever healthy for hair. Okay. But and then the dyes, but also the pressure of, you are considered to be of a different level or class if you have certain types of coiffs and certain, it's a sign of, like, it used to be, fat men meant that they were wealthy because food was scarce. Yeah. And So, the men would look pregnant and the women would look scrawny and the women were having the babies and the men would say, "See how prosperous I am?" as they patted their belly. So, I want to go back to the chemicals. What can somebody do that's listening in our audience if they have been doing constant, and the pandemic gave everybody's hair a break for the most part, probably. But if you've gone back to natural hair, but you have been hoodwinked by Madison Avenue to hate it, okay. What is the way back for you to feel good about yourself? And if you've decided you no longer want to basically burn out your brain through the chemicalization of your scalp, is there restorative things that can be done?
There sure are. Well, I would say is to seek a professional who has the experience of working with natural hair. And I say that because everyone's hair texture and damages that's done to the hair are different. It's case by case. What a person could do immediately for themselves is to look in the mirror and find beautiful qualities outside of what their hair presents. That's the number one thing, is that most people, they live through what's on their head, unfortunately, in that they forget about the other beautiful attributes. And so if you start with finding out what you like about yourself, then you'll be willing to take the risk of what you look like or what you may not look like with the hair that, people are always used to covering their face, or they're not used to short hair. Sometimes you have to be a little bit rebellious, a little bit of being rebellious if you want change to happen. And so my thing is the first step is to say, you know what, I'm not going to put any chemicals in my hair. What can I do? Let me shampoo my hair. If you have more of the straighter hair textures, maybe, brushing it in sections, wrapping it around to try to create that volume and in its natural form, getting products that eliminate frizz that are natural. And then, just kind of not manipulating the hair so much. That's the biggest thing. The less you manipulate the hair, the more that the hair will try and work for you.
How often for truly healthy hair? So first of all, how many people, let me ask you 4 questions at once and see if you can talk.
Before you get into that, Kevin, we have a question from a guest listener.
Yeah, like I can't. So no, what's the question? 4 questions in the queue here in my head. Go ahead, quick, ask the question.
Rain, they had texted you?
Yes, my phone is blowing up with people asking questions on how to get an appointment, and my hair is damaged. But I had this question from 3 different people. One's 26, one's 28, and one's 35. Do you think that they've been wearing lace fronts for years? Is the lace front glue ruining their edges? Could it cause alopecia? What
Yes.
should they do?
Yeah, so definitely. Okay, any type of glue is going to ruin your hair. They should stop doing that now. If they have to wear any type of, concealer over their hair, I'm going to say the wigs are a little better because you can take it off. Mm-hmm. So with the glue, it's constantly sticking onto not only the hair but the skin as well, and there's no breathable, there, you can't breathe under there. So if immediately take off the quick weaves or the weaves, and at least get a wig for the most part. That's the first step. And the answer to that question is yes, it's ruining their hair.
Okay, they're texting. Mm-hmm. I'm making an appointment. Yeah, good luck with that.
We do have stylists standing by. It takes about 6 weeks to get an appointment.
We have another question. Can you see it on the screen there?
What's the natural shampoo for dry scalp, and how often should you wash?
One of the questions I wanted to ask. Thank you, Christine. About how often should you wash your hair?
So dry scalp and dandruff are 2 different things. It looks the same, but you have to kind of know in your environment, do you actually have dry scalp or is it dandruff? With dry scalp, then you have to definitely use a moisturizing shampoo. The first thing you want to do is 2 different shampoos. You want to use a clarifying shampoo. The clarifying shampoo will help to remove any type of dandruff, debris, anything that's any type of residue in the hair. The moisturizing shampoo is going to add that moisture back into the hair, and then a calming a conditioner or a cool conditioner with natural preservatives will be able to help sustain the hair follicle as well as the scalp. So shampooing, if your hair is if it's oily, I would probably say shampoo maybe twice a week. Yep, not every day, because you don't want to strip. You don't want to strip the
I do
natural
it every other day.
oil. Yeah, you don't want to strip the natural oil. And a lot of times people feel like because they produce oil that is greasy. It's not necessarily greasy. The oil is there, the natural oil is there to protect your hair for the elements. And I know that it's a feeling. It's like, oh, it doesn't feel right. And again, we're different communities of people, dry climates versus climates of humidity. In drier climates, you're gonna want to feel like I don't need to necessarily shampoo my hair as much. In climates of humidity, where it gets sticky, it gets greasy, it gets oily, a little bit more often. And again, clarifying shampoo, following up with a moisturizer shampoo.
Even if you're, 'cause like I'm oily. I definitely am oily, and as I've been told, I have thin hair, but a lot of it. So like when mine goes up, I have a lot of hair, but it's very thin. It's not thick hair.
It's
So
fine. Okay.
fine, yeah. So I've got fine hair, but a full head. And so in this, you would say twice a month, twice a week with that, but you would still use a moisturizing shampoo, even though it's oily. Did I understand that?
Yeah, I would. Yes, and the reason why, because it's going to produce. So when your hair dries out, it's almost like you need to follow it right up with a moisture. The time that it takes for your hair to produce oil is unknown. But if you live in a dry climate, you definitely want to follow it up with a moisturizing shampoo, because what happens is the hair is not protected once you go out into the elements. If you were to shampoo your hair. So if it's naturally producing oil, then you may need to, again, clarify it maybe once or twice more a week. And it's really up to the personal, the individual, because some people, they don't like the way their hair feels, I would say. But you should not shampoo your hair that as often as we do, because what happens is as we grow older, we don't produce as many hair follicles as we do when we're younger. So you're trying to hold on to what you have. Yeah. Yes.
So I know you probably have more questions, Rain, but I do want to. So, how many stylists? How big is your shop? Because Rain's waited a decade, and probably in another 5 to 7 years, you'll squeeze her in. These people
Then
are
she will
calling
do my beard.
So, how many stylists do you have in your shop? I just would like to what's the size of it, baby?
Yeah. Interesting. So there are 6 stylists, and it's almost shaped like a compound. There are 6 cottages on the property. I own a half of a block downtown in the Arts District, Las Vegas. And on that block, the 6 cottages, 4 of them are consumed with stylists. So it's 2 stylists in each. And then we have a salon that is separate from women who are either Muslim, or they can't get their hair done in front of men. That's what we do our consultations for alopecia and those types of things. And then we have a boutique. So the total property is about 12,000 square feet. And we have a courtyard in the middle. So we service about 6,000 people in the valley right now out of the 6 of us.
Wow.
Okay. So we've got a question. I am going to ask, do you ever bring in, I mean, I've gone in and done little like talks and psychic readings and empowerment stuff at salons before, like through the years, because I've always had a ton of friends that are hairdressers. But do you do any kind of regular programs that are attached with your salon for mental health?
Yeah, so I have a nonprofit called Wings. It's women, women innovating new growth strategies, and there's a mental health compartment to that, where we educate people, men, women, and children, in regards to making better decisions for their health, which hair is included in that. Um, being in the arts district, we try to use art as a way to, for mental health crises, for outlets for people. And then also a way to be able to buy and sell and trade in my boutique area. As far as I have a few clients that own mental health agencies, so we're always speaking, having speaking engagements. We do baby showers, giveaways at our shop. We are in position, really, as mothers as well. I'm a mother, to have our kids involved in this mental health component. So when they start to see kids, come together, and we do fashion shows, I try to keep that mental health component, art, and which we call STEAM now, that's added in that science, technology, art, mathematics, all those things are incorporated in mental health. So what we try to do is to keep that STEAM effort in all of the events that we do, and engage not only adults but children as well.
And do you open up? And we've got a question on the board, and I'm going to read it in a second. Actually, let me read this question because I've got another question for you, but I want to get this. I want to get Valina. It's Velany. Sorry, Velany. My 10-year-old has a dry scalp and gets a lot of dandruff in random places. How might one treat that?
Yep. So that could be called it's a areata alopecia. When you have different it's an area of dry scalp, dry spots in the scalp. So basically what you need to do, before you go see a dermatologist, anytime you have, something going on with your scalp and products are not working, you want to go and seek help. And the reason why is because there could be something going on internally. Stress is a number one factor to the scalp either being dry or having, over sebum, even too oily. It could be stress. So in that case, if products are not working, you definitely want to seek professional help. But just in her case, I would try to use a moisturizing shampoo, but I would use something that has raw plants in it. So rosemary, peppermint, a green tea. If you live in a climates of moisture, tea tree. If you don't live in climates of moisture, I would stick with more so the spearmint or the green tea, because sometimes natural astringents can be too harsh for the hair based on the environment that we live in.
So I noticed something interesting. So my 10-year-old, does it make a difference if this is a 10-year-old boy or girl? Because there's no indication of gender. And so I noticed you moved to when you said girl, so I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
No.
Okay. So would you ever use essential oils as a way to clean the hair?
Yes. So, and again, with the essential oils, you want to make sure that you familiar with the climate that you live in. So for instance, tea tree as an essential oil, you wouldn't really want to use that in Las Vegas because it's already drying. That's a little bit harsh. In my products, I use more mentholated products. So menthol crystals isn't still an astringent, but it's not as harsh as, for instance, a tea tree.
How about New England? Two of us here in New England, and of course, we all know that rain's a transplant.
Yep. So then tea tree would work a little bit better. I would definitely use essential oils. Work really well. Now the thing about essential oils is that you have to still test it with a patch, because everyone doesn't. People can be allergic. It could be very overpowering if it's used in its purest form. So you kind of want to dilute an essential oil with a carrier oil. So that would be like a jojoba oil or avocado oil or, any type of oil that you can be able to dilute that essential.
Now, if I tend to like coconut oil as my carrier oil. I think it's because one day I want to get back to Hawaii. I'm not sure. But anyways, but if I took tea tree oil, because I do a lot of work with essential oils in my private practice, because I'm a big fan of essential oils, and they bring healing on so many levels. So they can be bringing mental health benefits while you're using them to pretty hair. So if I take these drops and I put the drops in the coconut oil, which is liquefied, and I am putting it in my hair, do I have to do anything after that, or would that act like a shampoo?
Well, so what you would do is, if you're trying to heal like a dry scalp, for instance, you would mix that. You would want your hair to be wet. You would put that in your hair. You would put a cap on your hair and let it sit in your hair for some time, 10, 15 minutes or so. And then you would wash that out. Then you would come back in and clean the hair. Or you can do it vice versa. You would clean the hair. Now, if you're using it for more of a mental health calming aid and you're okay with the hair being greasy, in your case, you produce sebum. So you said your hair is really oily. So I would probably use that first. Let it sit for about 15, 20 minutes and then follow up with the shampoo, since you really don't want your hair to feel, oily or greasy.
I still break out in acne, and that's how oily I am. As long as we don't put it with snake or salesman, I'm okay. But my question for you is, so you still need to use something at some point with a cleaning agent. The essential oil in itself will not be a cleaning agent. So essential oils can be good hair treatments.
Yes.
But they're not substitutes for shampoos. You would need a shampoo base.
In actuality, yes, you need some suffocants. And I know people like to stay away from, sulfates and things like that, but there are some good sulfates, believe it or not, because you need a suffocant to be able to actually remove the dirt and kill germs and the microbes.
Do you have any opinion on shampoo bars?
On shampoo virus?
Bars.
Shampoo bar. I was say there's a shampoo virus. Shampoo bars. So not very. Okay, that's a good question, and I'm saying that because I'm old school. So we used to actually use bars. Whatever you use for your body, you use for your hair, because you just couldn't afford, to do both or to buy both. What I've learned though is that people who use shampoo bars, they almost overuse. It's overkill. And so I've noticed that if you lather in your hand, you can still use a bar because the ingredients can come in different forms. So I would still lather it in my hand and put it in my hair. You don't really want to, use a bar to scrape or scrub your hair, because it's overkill. Again, we're trying to hold on to our hair, so you don't want to manipulate the hair.
So I just put a little. I just go and take the bar. I pour a little martini in my hand, and go like this, and I go like that, and I'm fabulous. Either that, or I don't care that I'm not.
That part. That's the part that I'm getting to. Who cares? And that martini, with the martini, that's probably why the hair is really shiny and silver like that. You might be onto something.
I'm gonna try it.
For St. Patty's Day, I'm gonna leave the olives in.
And I know we're running short on time, but I have 28 questions from 28 different people.
Let's go.
Africa. We don't have the time. We're going to bring you back, but there's one on the screen, right, Elmer?
Yeah. Are you planning on writing a book or having your own line of natural products?
I do have my own line of natural products. They are called Raw Remedies. I have a clarifying shampoo. I have a deep conditioner, moisturizing spray, a serum. That's a really, really great #1 product, works on everyone's hair. So if you look at Raw Remedies online or Raw Remedies on Instagram and Facebook, you'll be able to find us.
Is it rawremedies.com?
Yep, it's rawremedies.com.
I'm going to put it in our chat window.
Yep.
Did I spell that right? RAWREMEDIES?
Yep. Raw Remedies. Our website is rawremedieslv.com.
Oh, that's why. It came up with something weird. I'm like, I don't think this is her.
And probably.
But on Instagram, we are just Raw Remedies.
Okay.
And we have amazing products, not because I make them, but because they actually work.
They're amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing, especially that hot flash spray. Yes, I
Yes.
know you guys are sending me questions. We'll bring her back. I get it. Call her. Be 6,400.
So Rain, who's our next guest?
Paul Zotnitsky, the artificial intelligence, our love company guy. You don't want to miss that either.
And I'm
The
getting this for the post. Just put it in the chat. And we need to end the show. It is 11 o'clock. If you can hang on for a minute, Bobbie, we can talk to you once the show is done. I got to get the video file running.
This was
Thanks for
awesome.
watching or listening to the Laughing, Loving, and Alive show. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or support us with Buy Me a Coffee. To catch all of the latest from Laughing, Loving, and Alive, you can follow us on Instagram at Laughing, Loving, and Alive, and on Facebook at Laughing, Loving, and Alive. Thanks again, and see you next time.